Mary, you have studied a lot about the ancient traditions, and I was just wondering, do you have a feel for what did our ancestors understand about that nature of death and loss? And also, have we somewhat not lost, but misplaced that along the way?
Yeah, that's the question. That's the answer to the second part is definitely we've lost. I mean, I know in myself I lost it. I know the moment I realized that there had been some disruption in this way of knowing, and it was in my, just after my dad had died, and I was attending my first Celtic wheel retreat. And the great woman who became my teacher, Dolores Whelan, said, everything starts in the darkness. For the Celts, everything started in the darkness. And I just had this massive visceral moment of a sense of course, like the womb, we start in the womb, the darkness of the womb, the Big Bang. It all starts in the darkness. And that was for me a key into, there was such relief in my whole system, that because I'd been kind of through 7 years of a lot of losing a lot and change, a lot transforming, and a whole period of loss, and it just helped to make sense of it. So for me, that's, the Celts did that, and that Celtic mind, or that more archaic mind, because it was able to hold everything sacred. I was aware that in my life and in this modern world, we deny a lot. There's death denial of death all the time. And so we push things away, as you were saying, Gary. It's like everything, it gets repressed, it goes into the shadow. And then we're trying to make sense of the world when these things happen. So to go back and to touch in with them, like just that capacity to surrender, what you were saying, Gary, just living in honoring polarity. Again, what usually happens is we attach to one pole, and in the modern world, it's the achievement, very much more the masculine way of, and it's become the unhealthy masculine way of living. And the Celts would always, through their wisdom, I've learned we have to pick up the other pole, which is the feminine pole, which is, how do we rest? How do we need to rest, we need to hibernate, we need renewal. I used to work in organizations, and all they cared about was like, okay, high performance team. How do we get a high performance team? And nobody was thinking about, to get a high performance team, you need renewal and rest. And so, but it's all this more higher, bigger, brighter, better, faster, this world we've created. So, yeah, they understood these cycles, and they understood, they had a particular way of knowing. And even as you say, Gary, the different realms, and we can, poo-poo that and say, oh, that's a load of woo-woo. But actually, it's different ways of knowing, and different access to different, like the soul of the world, the animus mundi, that we are part of that, and we have access to that. It was, in the Celtic tradition, the other world. This was a place of wisdom and healing, where we would access that. You can, when I go out my door, I can only travel 5 kilometers, but once I can be anywhere close to the earth or ground or a tree, I have access to that.
And you don't, and I think you don't have to be literal as well, do you? I think that's the thing with the old beliefs. They thought about things in the world they understood, and they would personify and give things nature. The other world, doesn't have to be a specific place. It's symbolic of the sum of knowledge. It's the sum of knowledge of what's gone before. It doesn't. There's no reason to say it has to be. For me, like the gods are symbolic of the forces of nature. That's that sort of thing. It's nature itself, which is the overriding thing. Us all being part of this big machine that is this planet on which we live, and we're just a cog in that wheel. But if you acknowledge that also gives you a sense of being part of something bigger, rather than thinking the world revolves around me and everything is so important. And when actually, if you just acknowledge that you're part of a bigger thing, there's a sort of a comfort to be taken from that, really, as well, I think.